with luck or with some actual research and learning what you're doing, you can watch as it goes where you thought it would, and you make all sorts of money and live happily ever after. Okay, zigzag though, specifically looking for those waves, helps you catch Elliott waves, spot your Fibonacci values. Very popular to use. Okay, all right. We've been doing all this on the daily chart, which is all fine and dandy, right? But at the same time, most people don't trade it daily. I mean, usually you'll look for an entry on a smaller time frame, like a 60-minute, 2-hour chart, 4-hour chart, and then you can hold on the daily charts. Well, right now I've only been on the daily, okay? But we have a lot of options other than that. Right now, first of all, let's just drop down to even a 15-minute chart, okay? In the bottom left of the chart window, we have tabs listing the different time frames that are available. We've got a range tab, which is actually going to be a tab that is built completely off of price movement. Fantastic. Then you have options for building charts based off of time. 1-minute price bars, 5-minute, 15, 30, 60. Then you have your day, week, month for your longer term. Let's go ahead and click on a 15-minute time frame. Okay, and here each price bar is going to be a 15-minute bracket of time. FXCM, forex, Gecko Financial Services. We're going to be trading 24 hours a day, Monday through, well, Sunday evening through Friday afternoon, evening. And we're going to be seeing different styles of price bars depending on the volume and how much people are trading throughout the week. You're going to go through, see the different price bars right into the chart. Right now using just a regular price bar style, which I don't actually use, by the way. Let's see, 15-minute time frame. Let's change this to candlesticks. I don't know if any of you are familiar with candlesticks. They're actually very popular. They're common to use. You right-click on the chart, price bar type, and you have options for just using high-low. You can build a chart based off of line graphs for just the close, but I like to use candlesticks. Okay, and I like to use candlesticks because they show me, in my opinion, more information quicker than a regular bar style just from how I look at it. Okay, it's going to be hollow if it closed higher than it opened, and it's going to be green if it closed higher than the previous price bar close. It's going to be red if it closed lower than the previous price bar, and it's going to be filled if it closed lower than it opened. Okay, so you're going to be seeing, several different pieces of information all at once when you look at a price bar. So lots of options there. And candlesticks, really, it's what I always use because it's what I like. Once I get something set up the way that I like it, I just need to make sure to save it as my default. Right-click, save settings as my default, and now anytime I open up a brand new chart, it's going to use candlesticks, and it's not going to have open the slow stochastic, which is good because I don't actually use it. It's actually a great indicator, just my style doesn't use it. Next cubicle over, someone else does, okay? Every trader to each their own. Now, let's see, 15-minute time frame. We can also switch over to a 60-minute. Okay, we can bounce back and forth between these different options. Now, the 15-minute will always have a default now of candlesticks because I told it to. Switch over to the 60-minute. It has its own settings. Okay, different time frames each have their own setting. That way, you can customize, personalize each different time for the style of technical indicators that you're going to use. So this one I could turn over to, say, use the candlestick, and I could say this is my default for the 60-minute. Now, if I ever go to 15 or 60, candlesticks is the option. What else? For 60-minute, maybe I have a specific indicator I like to use. We talked about earlier chart overlays. That's any technical indicator that goes right over the price bars, right over the chart window. Well, you also have options for indicators that go in their own window pane, okay, like the slow stochastic, or other popular technical indicators. The MACD, actually, moving average convergence, divergence, very popular technical indicator, going to be available in most applications that you find because it does a good job. All right, ours displayed as a histogram. Everything's broken down the 0 axis, which is just basically the dead center of this window pane. Go to the MACD preferences. Easy to do. Just click on the little abbreviation for MACD in the bottom right. Okay, you can right-click and go to properties, but one click's faster. All right. Once you do this, lots of different options here. Okay. This technical indicator makes these steel blue, the blue arrows directly inside the chart. You can always see that right here displayed steel blue buy sell arrows. Different options for creating those arrows. Right now it's using trigger. Okay, trigger is specifically, if I make this bigger for you, let's see, actually, let me just show you. By making things bigger, it's always easier to see. Okay, specifically the trigger line is this green line that goes along with the histogram, and every single time that it breaks out of that histogram, it's going to make a buy or sell signal. For example, click right here. Okay, I want to be sure you can see it in the webinar, so I'm trying to make it a little bit bigger for you. But specifically, let's see if that helps at all. Maybe if I make it white. I'm only doing this because I know you're in a webinar. It's hard to see a window within a window. It's fine on my screen. I see it just fine. But I want you to be able to see it. Okay. All right. So I'm changing it to white for a moment, just to be sure you can see it. All right. You'll notice that whenever it leaves that histogram, it makes a signal within the chart. Okay. Specifically, when it breaks up and above, it's going to make a sell signal. Okay. Up and above. Up and above. And if there are any examples here of a buy, we do have one right here, okay? And if it's below the lower portion of the histogram, we're actually going to be able to get buy signals, okay? When the trigger period leaves the histogram and it's below the zero line, it's going to be giving us buy signals, all right? Hopefully that makes sense. Different indicators have different parameters for making signals. Learning what actually makes the arrows in the chart will make you a better trader, right? I actually can name an experience where a client called me up and said they were very upset. Okay, they placed in a trade to go long in the futures market. And I said, well, why are you upset? He's like, well, the arrow told me to go long. And I said, okay, well, which technical indicator made this arrow? He said, well, it's the yellow arrow in the chart. I said, the yellow arrow? Okay, which technical indicator actually gave you the signal to enter into the trade? He's like, oh, I don't know, it's just the yellow arrow in the chart. I'm like, so you don't actually know what told you to go long. You don't know what actually told you to place in this trade. Turns out he was using a momentum indicator on a market with no volume, and he just placed in a trade because he saw an arrow in the chart and didn't even know what it was. Okay, please learn what it is that actually makes the buy-sell signals in the chart. Okay, moving average convergence divergence, MACD. You want a lot of information? Go to the help button. While viewing this tool, you can read the calculation. You can read the theory. Type in MACD into Google, and you'll probably see 20 different courses on how to use the tool. All right, but don't just see the arrows in the chart and then say, okay, I'll trade that. Sure, I'll put down a whole bunch of money. Now, really learn what it is. Okay. Again, sorry, I try to avoid the soapbox, but you see arrows in the chart. Try and figure out what's actually making them. Okay, because if you have a technical indicator open and you see arrows in the chart, chances are it's making them, and you should probably know why. All right, by default, the MACD, we just use the trigger line. Turn off the trigger, and all of a sudden you're going to be getting arrows for a completely different reason. Turn off the trigger, and then the MACD will only make signals, okay, if it breaks above or below the histogram. Okay, not easy to see right here because it's really small, but let me see if I can find you a better option. Okay, all right, I'll get rid of my circles. All right, take a look here. All right. This is a histogram. Everything's broken down the center by it's the zero axis, okay? Now, if I turn off the trigger, MACD is going to be making signals for a completely different reason. It's going to be making signals only if the histogram passes the zero axis or the dead center of the tool, okay? So we only get signals to go long or short based off of that, okay? That's what actually makes the signals if you're not using the trigger period. But there's more options than this. Okay, what if instead of using the trigger, we want to use the MACD with Bollinger Bands, okay? Bollinger Bands changes the game again. We're going to be receiving signals with Bollinger Bands, actually creating a channel that follows along with the trigger, okay? It's channeling, following the trigger with the Bollinger Bands. It goes on and on, okay? Lots of options. You can tinker, make it your own, and set up the system that you like. All right, so indicators down in the lower pane. Same thing as chart overlays. You can go through, just click on the little abbreviation, do a tinker, adjust. We have a lot of different options for technical indicators, okay? Go to add indicator window, and you'll see a lot of them in here, all right? MACD is very popular. So stochastic, very, very popular. Tidbit from Jeff here at Gecko to you guys, or ladies, sorry. KST, no sure thing. I like it, all right? Whether or not you use it is up to you, but I'm telling you that the signals it generates, in my experience, it's one of my favorite indicators to add in. And if you take a look at the chart, it doesn't take a scientist to see that the green arrows in the chart tend to work just fine. Okay, green arrow here, enter, up to here, that's a profit. Okay, right here, we're going to take in either a very small profit or mild whipsaw. Then, profit again. We could take it some profit here, although it does retrace. That one could be a whipsaw. All right. Each indicator, pros and cons, okay? Here's another good example. Okay, we've taken a whipsaw right here, then we've taken the profit going up. We've taken a whipsaw here, which is small, okay? And then we take another whipsaw. So yeah, hopefully you like that. All right, now, and I could make this much bigger for you to actually see what I just drew out there. See? Hey! Hey, mild whipsaw here, profit here, profit here. Anyways, KST, take a look at it. It's very fun. Only thing about KST that I don't necessarily like very much is it's a little bit complicated. Okay, I like to fine-tune, I like to customize the charts that I'm working with, especially the tools. Now you pull up the KST preferences, and okay, wow, you know that's I'm immediately seeing 11 different parameters. You've got 4 different moving averages, 2 different periods per moving average. You have a different trigger period. You have a type calculation. As soon as I get in and start to tinker with the KST, it takes about 2 seconds before everything in my chart doesn't make sense anymore. Okay, I'd love to dive in and really start to tinker more with the KST. No sure thing, okay, but you know, when it really comes down to it, I never end up doing it. There's just too much in it, and I tend to just use the defaults. Okay, but I like it. I pair it up with my Bollinger Bands Advantage lines. You want to know what I use? Okay, I mean that's what I use. Bollinger Bands Advantage lines and KST. Those are my bread and butter. That's what I use for my technical analysis. Go to the next cubicle over, someone will use completely different, you know, and you know, out of everyone here in the webinar right now, each of you probably use something different as well. Okay, everyone has their own style. Use what works for you and use what makes you money. Okay. All right. So, indicators down the window pane down at the bottom. You can actually overlay indicators over the top of each other. Okay. If you right-click inside this pane down here and add in the MACD, okay, you're going to see the KST and the MACD in the same pane. Okay. Or, if you want to add additional window panes, instead of right-clicking inside this and adding in a technical indicator like the momentum, okay, you can right-click inside the chart window, go to Add Indicator Window Pane. Okay, Add Indicator Window is all it says, but I like to add the pane. And say add a slow stochastic, okay, and it actually will add an additional pane for that indicator, so you don't have to lay them over the top of each other if you don't want to. Also, that gives you another added benefit of giving you the ability of adding more than one set of parameters for a single technical indicator. Let me show you. I'm going to drop to a 15-minute chart that's cleaner, that doesn't have all of my drawings on it. All right, here's slow stochastic. Slow stochastic default, usually like industry norm settings, are 14 period with a 3 and 3% K%D smoothing. Okay, let's say that we wanted to have a couple more options. Let's say that I wanted to have another slow stochastic, okay, and I'm adding this by right-clicking in the chart window, add window, SSTO, okay. Now I have 2. All right, now in this one, I'm going to change its arrows to a different color, hot pink. Okay, so now I have arrows for this one in hot pink. Now they're both in the same spot because I currently have the same settings. Let's go ahead and change this to, say, how about we double that? We'll do 28 instead of 14. We'll do 6 and 6 for the %K%D smoothing. Okay. And just so I really can see it a little bit better, I'm even going to change the color of my %K to hot pink and my %D to red. Okay, that's just randomly chosen. Okay. All right, so now slow stochastic with the 28 period, %6 and 6 for K and D, versus the default slow stochastic, which is 14, 3, and 3. Okay. Now I have 2 different sets of arrows in the charts. Okay, I have the hot pink for the top one. I have the regular default white. Okay, both slow stochastic, different parameters. And now, watch this trick. What I do is, on the bottom right of this pane, just a little SSTO, if I left-click and drag, okay, I'm holding down my mouse, dragging down, and just letting go. Okay, so I clicked, dragged, dropped down. Now I have 2 slow stochastic in the same window pane. All right, each with their own settings. You'll see 2 SSTO in the bottom right. Just left-click on the one you want to adjust. Okay, the bottom one's my default. Look at the colors here. Click the upper SSTO. It's my new settings here. Okay, you can go through, adjust. You can adjust each one as its own, and you'll have the different arrows in the chart. Okay. All right. So SSTO, 2 different windows, both placed into the same pane. One more quick thing I'm going to go over. And, you know, I didn't go over much trading today. I'm sorry. Obviously, this is a trading platform, placing in orders, going into the market, placing in stop losses, placing in profit-taking orders. It's going to have to be for next time. Okay, because we are actually already out of time. But I'm showing you some of the tricks and tips. Don't worry, come into more webinars. We'll go over more. All right, but that trade closed. I think I even made money. Oh, -$2. That's a shame. Okay, one more quick thing, just a quick tidbit. I can quickly change back and forth these time frames. Okay, each one has the settings that I put into them. What if I wanted to view more than one at a time? All right, I can do that. Let's say that euro-dollar, I want to see the 15-minute with its settings. I'd also like to see the 60-minute. Right-click on euro-dollar and select open up that 1 hour, that 60-minute chart. Okay, now we have 15-minute and 60-minute both listed right here. What I'm going to do